All right, so for 3.1, in general, solving for an equation for x means to isolate x I know, it's a very big space. I think it's, yeah, that's probably what it was. In other words, get x by, this probably should have been one blank, itself. Okay, solving an equation. Number one seems pretty simple. In this chapter, I am going to train you, and once you get your homework, I'm going to explain it a little more, of how to show your work when you're solving, because I can't tell you how many people's tests I counted off points because they didn't show work. So when you're solving work, I want you to do it vertically, like showing your step, step, step. That doesn't mean that I need you to say minus 7x, because I feel like that's kind of for babies, you know. But if I were solving this, this is the steps that I would show to show my work. I would say 3x plus 12 equals negative 3. 3x equals negative 15. X equals negative 5. And then I would box my answer.
I need to write out the
Yeah.
divisions
Yeah.
and subtractions so I don't accidentally leave something out.
That's fine.
It's not babies. It's for smart people.
It's for smart people.
It's for care. Because then when you're checking over it, you're like, okay. Yeah.
Just takes longer. Takes more time.
Nothing, which probably explains why I don't have a good grade in this class.
If you're used to doing less than this, then I would say this is the minimum. If you're used to doing more, then keep doing more, and that's okay. So try number 2. I want you to show your work. So I combined my like terms on each side first after distributing. Remember when you distribute, this negative goes to the 3 and to the 7. So maybe that's where you made the first mistake.
And the negative.
Then I combined the 10 and 12, the 5 and the 3. I moved the 2x over and I moved the 22 over at the same time. So that could have been. And then I divided. So let's throw out some ideas of what we think we could do to solve this type of problem. What do you think?
You find the least common denominator, and then you take that number and you multiply it so you get rid of the fractions.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. That's exactly what I would do. I don't want to find a common denominator and combine. I want to find a common denominator and multiply. My whole goal is to get rid of fractions because I hate them. We share a mutual hate for fractions. When it comes time, let's just get that straight. We both hate them. We want to get rid of them as soon as possible. The only way to get rid of a fraction is to multiply. It's the only way. So, least common denominator between 5 and 3 is what? 15. So, if I multiply the left side by 15, then I have to multiply the right side by 15. So just go ahead and write that next to your problem. When I do that, here is what happens. When I distribute the 15 to the 3x over 5, it becomes, and I'm just going to write it the long way, but I'm going to show you what it becomes so you don't necessarily have to write this step. So when you have 15 times 3x over 5, the 15 and the 5 will reduce to what? 3 over 1. But you don't even have to write the over 1. And so 3 times 3x becomes 9x. So I'm not even going to write the long way for the second one.
What you could do 15 times.
Because 15 divided by 3 is what? 15 divided by 3 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10x. Equals, then I distribute here and here. 15x plus 30. So now I want you to solve it from here.
One day if I said
Okay, so Does that kind of make sense? In my head, I'm doing 15 divided by 5 first, and then I'm doing 15 divided by 3 first. Then I'm multiplying it by whatever the numerator is. So I'm multiplying it by 3x and by 2x. Okay, so let's look at number 4. I've got 3 fractions. What's a least common denominator between all of them?
15.
15 and what else? X. Because I've got an X there.
What? That's stupid.
So you have to think, combining all of them together,
So 15.
what's going to multiply to get rid of all my fractions? 15x.
I don't like that.
No, you will, I promise. Do you want to try and put them all together with a fraction and then try to combine? It's too much work. And you're essentially doing the same thing, but here we get to get rid of fractions. If you just find a least common denominator and combine, you're not getting rid of any fraction. So I want you to attempt multiplying each term by 15x. In my head, I'm going to do 15x divided by 5x first, which is what?
3.
3. 3 multiplied by 3 gives me 9. So try doing the rest of it.
So the x doesn't make sense.
Okay, does anybody need me to show the long way of how to get the fraction again? No? We okay with that? Okay. Number 5. Why is there a square root?
Get that thing out of there.
Oh, you square.
We just want to get rid of it. So how could I get rid of the square root?
Square root.
Square it. But whatever I do to the left, I have to do to the right.
Right.
When I square this, it just becomes what on the left?
X squared is 100.
Nope, x plus 10. Because the square root just goes away. Squaring a square root just means it goes away. So I'm just left with the stuff in the inside.
I did the wrong thing.
It's okay, David.
Gosh dang.
X equals 6.
So x equals 6. Okay, what about number 6? There's a couple things that we could do.
Multiply both sides by 2.
Tommy, I love that you said that. Can you say that again?
Is that wrong?
No.
Okay, so multiply both sides by 2.
Just make.
Why would I say I love that you said that and it be wrong?
I don't know. Some teachers might find pleasure in their kids being wrong.
Okay, multiply each side by 2. And what happens when I do that? What happens to the right side?
I think it cancels out.
It cancels out, so it's x plus 3.
It cancels out this,
Yes.
and I'm left with 10 equals x minus 3. Now, how many of you would prefer, and I hope it's none of you, but how many of you would prefer to write it as 5 equals 1/2 x minus 3/2?
Would you have this
Why would you
as
do
a
that to
calculator
yourself?
portion?
I don't know why you would do it to yourself, but a lot of people, this would be on a non-calc, yes.
A non-calc?
Uh-huh.
So then we will be doing the easy way.
Yeah, none of these, you should not use a calculator for any of these. So, some of you are inclined to distribute first and then multiply by 2,
I don't think we've ever learned this. Or is that just me?
and you're still left with 10 equals x minus 3. But if you have a fraction in front of parentheses, I would just encourage you to multiply by the reciprocal first. And then you can get rid of it first without distributing. This just gives an extra step, which I think is unnecessary. But some people prefer not to.
What about the next one?
This is a
So
lot
then
easier
x
than numbers.
equals what? 13.
The 2 sections, like 1 times,
Would you multiply by 3?
like 3 and 1 times, like
Would you
5.
skip the question?
Okay, I would not skip the question. Let's talk about some options of things that we could do. I'm just gonna zoom to this one right here.
Multiply by the reciprocal.
Let's look at this guy first. I want to get rid of him.
3. So can you do
What if I could multiply by 3
over 2?
over 2? I could do that. So if I did by 3 over 2, this goes away. Then I get 15 over 2. So I still have a fraction. But I like that.
Then can't you?
Now I could multiply by what? 10.
Wait, where are we getting 10 from?
Because I want to cancel the least common denominator between 2 and 5, which is just 10. So try it from here.
That's a big number.
When you
So multiply the 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 times 15 is 75.
It is an ugly number.
Distribute. You will get an ugly number. Oh, yes. 10 times 5x is
I just
50x.
went because you said 83.
Then, like I said, instead of doing 60 divided by 5,
Like adding 12 to
I do 6 times 10 over 5. This cancels to be 2. 6 times 2 is 12.
Why do I think that 6 times 2 is 8? It's
And then 80, let's see, it becomes 87 equals 50x. X equals 87 over 50. Can that reduce? I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of. So then we just leave it like that. Don't try to make it a decimal. You'll hurt your brain. Okay, let's go over this.
Yeah, I got it.
So we multiplied everything by 12.
What if you moved it to the other side?
Move what to the other side?
Like 8 to that side.
That's okay. Then you just get both positive answers.
now there's a bunch of variables.
Okay, with multiplying by 12, 12 divided by 3 is what? 4 times 2x gives me 8x. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 3 times 7 is 21. 12 times 3x is 36x. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 times 1 minus 6. Then from there, you just manipulate, move around.
how is it negative 27?
I moved this positive 21 over, so it'll be minus 21.
Why couldn't you move the negative 6 over and make
I
it
could.
positive 27?
So you could get 27 equals 28x. No, I just made them both negative. It doesn't matter which way.
Oh, I have
They're doing the
beautiful
same thing.
negatives.
If they're both negative, then it's positive.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we know we've done a few of these, but we still need more practice. Where we've got several variables, but we're just wanting to get one of them by itself. So here I want to get w by itself, so I'm going to circle it. It always helps to circle what variable you're actually looking for because you want it to be, you want your final answer to be w equals something. Okay? So I'm going to take step by step. Going to try and... Think you did it? So what could my first step be?
Is it PL? Is it W equals PL?
Subtract 2.
I don't want to do that yet. I want to subtract the 2L first. So think about doing PIMDOS backwards.
Why couldn't I do
Why would we do?
Could you do the subtracting 2W?
Mm-hmm.
So we always do the subtractions before the multiplications.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
So if I subtract 2L, I get P minus 2L equals 2W.
Yeah.
So you do adding and subtracting first, then multiplying, dividing. Then I divide by 2.
Are you dividing the whole thing by 2?
Mm-hmm. So I get W equals P minus 2L divided by 2.
I did that.
And I'm done.
You don't have to like simplify that more.
I'm done. Okay, so try number 10.
Oh, wait.
How is it negative 2L over 2? Wouldn't it just be
What?
P minus L over 2?
No, because that will kill a puppy.
How?
Because of this minus sign right here.
Okay.
So if you have like an adding or subtracting sign in your numerator, you can't cancel with the term on the bottom.
Oh, my goodness.
You can only cancel factors, not just single terms. So, like, these 2's cannot cancel. Good morning. Okay, let's try number 10. I'm
Yes.
gonna circle R and I'm gonna do PEMDAS backwards. There's no adding or subtracting. So I need to do what?
Oh my God, that's genius.
Oh, I have notes for you.
No, don't.
Divide by pi. So A over pi equals R squared. Then what do I need to do?
Square root.
Square root both sides.
Oh my gosh, I actually did it.
Me too.
Wait, what?
I'm
I
done.
thought you couldn't square root pi.
Well, technically,
Why can't you square root pi?
You can't even know.
'Cause I
Who
thought
said
it-
that?
Huh?
Who said that?
I don't know. It feels like something Mr. Cunningham said.
No, you can square root pi.
Tommy did. Tommy did.
No one's ever said you can't. No one's holding you back from square rooting pi. Yeah,
I
that's
don't know,
on
I feel
video.
like
I'm
that's
gonna
something
share
he
that with
said
him.
last year. I don't know why.
Is this on the video?
Okay, try number 11. Okay, let me show you what I would do on this question. I think that it would be easier. I'm gonna erase this.
I just have one question about
You don't
number
wanna
12.
I think what I would do, I think I would multiply both sides by 5 only to just get rid of the fraction, but then keep the 4 in front.
Wait.
5 over 5 is 1.
Because when you're multiplying by 5, you're getting rid of the fractions. If you multiply by 5 over 4, you're still keeping a fraction. Does that make sense? So when I multiply by 5, I get 5y minus 15 equals 4x minus 2. So that has made me, when I'm just multiplying by the denominator, I'm getting rid of the fraction.
So you don't do the 5 to all of it? Wait, you do.
You are doing, when you're doing it to this, you're doing it to all of it.
So then why
I
wouldn't
did
it
the
be?
2 change.
Why wouldn't it be the 5 times the negative 2?
Because that's inside the parentheses. So watch what happens.
Is the answer y equals 4?
If you distributed this, like doing that extra step, it would be 4/5 x minus 8/5. Right? And then when I multiply it by 5, these just go away and I get 4x minus 8. When I distribute this out, I also get 4x minus 8. So this fraction is just that fraction factored out. It applies to the x and the 2.
Okay.
So could you multiply it by 5 over 4?
You could, but then you're going to have a fraction still.
5 over 4y minus 7 over 4.
So I would just multiply, yeah, and then you could. I would just multiply by the denominator always.
If I multiply.
The least common denominator.
Is the answer
So then whenever you solve, hold on.
5 please?
I didn't do 4 times negative 2.
I'm solving for x, so minus 8
Please.
by y
Please
minus.
tell me I'm right. I just want 1. I just want to be correct. I don't even have
Wait.
13.
Did you do minus 15?
Oh wait, hold on. Plus 8 would be plus 3. I didn't get the 13. It was just made up.
But I don't know where you got any of those numbers.
Wait.
Wait.
Then you divide by 4.
Where'd your 10 value go in the?
Yeah, it's 5y minus.
From 15.
Oh.
If you multiply by the reciprocal, would you get the same answer?
So it is going to be 13?
Wait, so what is negative 15 plus 8 is 7.
Right? Okay.
Then divide by 4.
Yeah.
So you get x equals 5y minus 7 divided by 4.
Oh my God, I
Woo!
was right.
First up, I want to get rid of a fraction, right? So I multiply everything by 2. 2. And I get 2v equals bh plus 2br.
We started off wrong.
No, you start off right. What'd you have?
Then I want to get b by itself, but I have b in 2 terms, right? So I can factor it out.
Oh, you could just divide.
And I can write this equals b h plus 2r.
That's not what I was thinking.
Wait, so why did
And then you divide by h
why
plus
would you
2r.
do that?
Wait,
It makes sense.
Why couldn't you factor
Okay, well, just because you're trying to get everything.
But then you're dividing by 1/2, which really means multiplying by 2. We'll see if your answer is the same. From here, h plus 2r, h plus 2r.
What if you did 2r plus h?
That's fine.
Oh, okay, that's
So b equals 2v minus h plus
Write
2r.
two things at the same time.
You said no.
yes, you can.
Yes.
I didn't know what you were
If
referring
it's in
to.
parentheses.
Yeah, if it's in parentheses.
Oh.
14 acts in the same way. When you have multiple b's in a formula or multiple of whatever you're solving for, you always want to try and factor it out. So our first step is let's get all of the b's on one side and then everything else goes to the right. So let's get all of the b's on the left side. All the b's on the left side. And then let's move that 10 over to the right because it doesn't have a b and I don't want it there.
I don't want it there either, to be honest with you.
To be honest with you.
She teaches math and she tells jokes.
Okay, so why
Very
would you
talented.
do that?
Okay, why did I do that? Because I want to factor out
Wait, why couldn't
all of these. I want to factor them out.
you do it the other way?
Don't divide by 3.
But like,
Couldn't you do it the
Whoa,
other way?
why don't
I don't
you just
know.
like,
Couldn't you do it the other way?
why couldn't you just divide
Like
by
put them
3?
all on the right?
Yeah.
That's fine as well.
Because I'm an idiot. That's why.
There would be all.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, from here, they all have a b in common. When they all contain something, you can factor it out. Yes, David?
It's b and then parentheses a plus c minus 3.
That's amazing. A plus c minus 3.
Not only do I have a brain, but it's working now.
Now what do I do?
Divide that all.
Divide everything in that parenthesis to the other side. Just get rid of it, and you're done.
Yeah,
What about the other side? I thought it was the whole once you do the one side, you gotta do the other. Whatever.
I am. So I'm multiplying both sides by a plus c minus 3. You should get the same thing, even if you did it on the other side.
You mean dividing?
But the sum stays positive. For me.
And then on the denominator, do you have negative a minus c plus 3?
I have, yeah.
Then that's fine. It's the same answer. Just means that your signs are flipped, but it means the same thing.
Okay, alright, that's
Yeah.
no more.
Okay, 15. We know how to do.
Just give us a test on one of these problems.
Let's try it. Let's try 15.
David, don't even get that.
Yes, David.
Times it by 2. Times it by 2. So first step, times it by 2.
I can do that.
You can.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can multiply.
Whatever you do to the left, you also do to the right.
So we got.
Does that mean we have to turn the fractions by 2?
Nope. Cause it
No,
cancels
it
out
just
with the
cancels
bottom
out. Mhm.
denominator.
Alright, so.
Yeah, that's right.
12.
So wouldn't it be minus 2?
Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes multiplying's hard for me.
Okay, sometimes adding.
Yeah.
It's okay,
Sometimes
guys.
just math.
Sometimes school's hard
Sometimes
for me.
waking up is hard for me.
Sometimes adding.
Okay, what could I do
I'm
now?
trying to get out of the car with this
Common
email.
denominator.
Multiply by what?
Well,
Good.
What? Oh, never mind.
What's 12 times 6?
Wait.
So I want to circle x, which means I want to move the 21 over, and I want to divide by 8.
X equals.
Wait, why would you divide by 8?
Because I want the x by itself. Right now it's got an 8 attached to it.
I was literally gonna.
Okay, I actually get that.
Yes.
That makes sense in my head.
With these, the biggest mistake you could make is just something silly and you know what you're doing, but you make a stupid little mistake and you have to take your time with it. I promise you, you know what you're doing, you just have to take your time. Make sure you check your work.
So is it x equals 9y minus 45?
Over 8.
No,
Well, wait,
72
but
y.
it's 72y over 8, but 72 divided by 8, isn't that 9?
So you could leave it. You could leave it like this. Whoops. 45 over 8. Or you could go ahead and reduce to be 9y minus 45 over 8. You could do either way. I would accept either answer. I usually just prefer this because
Yeah,
it's
I'll do the
easier.
big one thing.
Oh god.
Maybe I'll fall all the way over.
Okay, our last one. Our last
I might be
one.
complaining because I like.
People are gonna be watching the video and they're gonna hear
They are.
jingle bells. And then they just heard you guys laugh at me saying
That's probably me that watched the video.
No. Our last one.
What video?
We want to get in by itself, but
Oh,
we've got it in two places.
that. Don't email her, she doesn't ask questions.
Size by n.
I just
Do what?
We multiply both sides by n, or does that not?
No. I'll check the-
I want to okay, I want to get rid of the fraction. Shh. Stop talking. This is the hardest one, Tommy.
If you are inhibiting my education.
I'm going to erase this. I hope everyone has that written down because I ran out of room.
Come on, David.
Okay. So, I want to get rid of the fraction. I want to multiply by this. This whole thing. Because that's the only way to get rid of the fraction is if you
No.
multiply it by the whole thing.
Yes, no,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
I mean.
So I'm going to multiply by Rn plus A. Rn plus A.
That,
So I get I Rn plus A. And you could go ahead and distribute it if you wanted. So I Rn plus Ia if you want.
Do we need to do that or?
You will eventually.
Do it now, Tommy. Do it now.
Equals Pn. So equals Pn. Now, got an n on one side and on the other, and they all need to be on the same side.
Divide by. Never mind.
Divide by n.
No, not yet. I just want to move. I want to move it around. I want to get, because my whole point is I want to eventually factor out an n.
Can you get that? Put the I. Oh wait, the I and the A. Wait, no. Wait, yes.
Don't
Can
you
you put
switch
the I
that
and the
to
A on
IRN?
the right side and the P and the N on the left side?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what? What?
So, I want all the n's on one side, and then everything that doesn't have an n needs to go to the other side.
Okay, so it's IRN plus,
You could just
PN
do
minus
IA
IRN.
plus PN minus IRN.
Yeah.
You know what? We're just gonna
So
It doesn't
IRN.
matter which way you do it. You could go to the right or you could go to the left. I'm gonna go to the left.
No, please go to the right, because that's
No,
what I did.
left makes more sense.
I just
That's the
did-
way I prefer. If you want to do the other way, that's totally fine.
wait.
You do
why
you.
Is this right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, from here,
Okay.
now I do what?
Divide by n.
Nope,
Divide
not
by
divide. Take out my n.
Multiply by n.
Factor. It's called factor.
Well, that's what I was getting to.
factor.
Okay, so n.
Oh my god, here, like,
These questions are all the same.
oh my goodness.
The process. Then you divide by what?
Oh, I get
P
it.
minus IR.
Oh, you divide by the parentheses.
Yes, divide by the parentheses. So, n equals negative IA divided by IR minus P.
Okay, hold up.
Wait,
So I did it.
wouldn't it be p minus
And you should get positive IA equals negative IR plus P.
Okay, what
Yeah.
if you got P
Okay, I have no
minus
idea what
IR?
you just
That's
said.
fine.
But is mine correct?
Okay, let's just talk about, I'll focus right here. Let's just talk about these types of questions. Because I think we're scared of them, and I don't think we should be. And here's why. Here's why. Your goal is to get that variable by itself. If you see it multiple times in an equation, you are going to factor it out. And then you're just going to divide by the stuff in parentheses. I think y'all are making it harder than it seems.
Definitely.
So you just want to, like here, you just want to get all the b's on one side. Then you want to factor. Then you want to divide. And then you're done. Okay? So you want to get them all to one side. You want to factor it out. And then you want to divide by the ugly stuff. And then you're done.